The end of the year. City streets begin to glow. Holiday music spills out from storefronts. On phone screens, flashing words never stop. Discounts, limited time offers, Black Friday, Christmas sale, buy now. Only hours left. Millions of people are doing the same thing. Scrolling, choosing, paying. Everything moves fast. Familiar. We believe these are just ordinary moments of the holiday season. A routine that repeats every year. But while all eyes are fixed on gifts, receipts, and the promise of reunion, somewhere else, far from those bright lights, other people are awake. They are not listening to music. They are not shopping. They are not celebrating anyone. They are watching. They are waiting. And they are preparing. Their world is not a shopping mall. It is dark rooms, lit only by the glow of computer screens. Lines of code move silently. Data maps appear. Names, accounts, shopping habits. All of it recorded. All of it familiar. All of it ours. No one knows when they entered the crosshairs. Because a cyber attack does not announce itself. It does not break down doors. It makes no noise. It arrives quietly. So quietly that the victim never notices. A rushed click. A website that looks exactly like one we trust. A login that seems harmless. And that is enough. During the holidays, people change. We move faster. We trust more. We question less. Our minds are stretched thin by hundreds of decisions at once. A gift for a child. A gift for parents. A deal about to expire. A notification that appears at just the right moment. We fail to see that these emotions, this joy, this busyness, are exactly what make us most vulnerable. Cyber criminals understand this well. They do not need to break complex systems. The target, from the beginning to the end, is always the same. The human being. Not because we are weak, but because we are human. We trust. We rush. We fear missing out. And when the holiday season arrives, that trust becomes the widest open door of all. The question is not who will be targeted. The question is when. In a world where everything is connected, where shopping is one tap away, where personal data has become an invisible asset, are we truly safe? Or are we simply unaware that, beneath the glow of the holiday lights, the darkness is already close? When people talk about cyber attacks, they often think of technology first. Malware, vulnerabilities, servers. But in real investigations, experts agree on one thing. The first attack does not happen inside a computer. It happens inside the human mind. The holiday season is when our behavior changes more dramatically than at any other time of the year. We shop more. We decide faster. And most importantly, we think less. The human brain has limits. When it is forced to process too much information at once, it looks for the shortest path. Trust quickly. Act quickly. Finish and move on. Psychologists call this state cognitive overload. In just a few minutes online, we absorb dozens of messages. 50% off. Only 3 hours left. The item you viewed is selling fast. A special offer just for you. All of it appears at once, stacked on top of each other. And the mind grows tired. That is when vigilance drops. Warning signs begin to fade. A strange link no longer feels suspicious. A familiar-looking interface is enough to create a sense of safety. At the same time, another emotion takes hold. FOMO, the fear of missing out. We fear losing the opportunity, buying slower than everyone else, prices going back up, being the only one left behind. This emotion is quiet, but powerful. It pushes action before reason has a chance to speak. And this is the moment hackers are waiting for. They do not force. They do not threaten. They do not need brute force. They simply place the trap at the right time. When people are tired. When focus is slipping. When emotion is driving behavior. An email arrives while you are hunting for gifts. An advertisement looks exactly like a trusted brand. A website loads fast, looks polished, shows a familiar lock icon. That is enough for trust to form. Carelessness online does not come from ignorance. It comes from familiarity. We have shopped hundreds of times, paid for hundreds of transactions, and most of them were safe. That safety creates trust. And trust, during the holidays, becomes a weakness. Hackers understand modern consumer culture extremely well. They study human behavior as closely as advertising companies do. They know when you are most likely to click. when you are least likely to double-check, when you are willing to ignore small details, because they do not need a big mistake. They only need one very small moment of carelessness. In the digital world, the most dangerous moment is not when you are suspicious. It is when everything feels familiar, comfortable, safe. And during the holidays, when joy, busyness, and emotion fill our minds, that is when people become the most vulnerable without ever realizing it. On the surface, holiday cyber attacks often look spontaneous. A fake website appears, a phishing email is sent, a victim loses money. But in real investigations, nothing happens by accident. Behind every wrong click is an infrastructure that has been prepared long in advance. Months before the holiday season begins, when most of us have not even thought about buying gifts, hackers are already at work. They register domain names, thousands of them, names that feel familiar, logical, exactly what we expect to see at the end of the year. The difference is subtle: one extra letter, a small dash, a spelling choice the eye misses when scrolling fast. These domains do not stand out. They are created quietly, scattered, hidden among millions of legitimate websites. On basic inspection, most of them appear harmless, and that is precisely what makes them dangerous. Hackers do not need every domain to be malicious right away. They only need enough of them, active long enough, familiar enough, so that when the holiday season arrives, the traps are already in place. Next comes brand imitation. In cybersecurity investigations, this is considered an art form. Colors, logos, layouts. Every element of the website is copied almost perfectly. Some fake pages are so convincing that even experienced users struggle to tell the difference at a glance. For the human brain, familiarity equals safety, and hackers exploit that instinct. When you see a logo you recognize, an interface you have used many times, the mind skips the step of suspicion. You do not read the web address carefully. You overlook small details. You assume you are in the right place. In reality, you have just stepped into a space built for one purpose only: to wait for that moment. Alongside direct traps, hackers attack from another direction, quieter, but far more effective, poisoning search results. They understand that during the holidays, users do not type website addresses. They search today's deals, year-end discount, buy gifts fast, and they trust the top results. Hackers create massive amounts of content pages, stuffed with keywords, linked together, slowly pushing malicious sites higher in search rankings. When users click, they have no idea they have just been guided down a path carefully calculated in advance. Everything feels smooth, no warnings, no obvious red flags, just a shopping page that looks completely normal. In interviews after being scammed, many victims say the same thing. They did nothing unusual. They shopped the same way they always do. It just happened faster that year. What worries investigators is not only the number of fake domains. It is how they exist. Many of them have never been flagged as malicious. They sit quietly, waiting for the right moment, like traps that have not yet been triggered. And when the holiday season arrives, millions of people enter the same digital space at once. Searching, shopping, rushing. That is when the scam infrastructure reaches its full power. In this case, a cyber attack is not a single strike. It is a network laid out in advance. Wide, durable, and patient. Patient enough to wait for people to walk into it themselves. In many post-cyber attack investigations, the most haunting moment is not when the system is breached. It is when the victim realizes that everything was taken long before they ever noticed. No alerts, no strange emails, no unusual login notifications. Everything keeps working normally, until there is nothing left to work with. To understand this, investigators often point to something called a stealer log. It is not just a simple data file. It is a silent copy of a person's digital life. It contains passwords, but more importantly, login cookies, session tokens, device fingerprints stored inside the browser. Cookies are like access passes. When you log in successfully, the system gives you a pass that allows you to move freely for a period of time. Hackers do not need to guess your password. They only need to steal that pass. Session tokens are proof that you have already been verified. As long as the token is valid, The system believes the person performing the actions is you. No questions. No suspicion. Device fingerprints are how systems recognize you through patterns. Browser type. Screen resolution. Typing behavior. Small details most people never notice. When all of this is stolen, hackers are no longer outsiders. They enter your accounts as if you were sitting in front of the screen yourself. This is why two-factor authentication is no longer enough in many cases. 2 layers of protection only matter when the system is suspicious. But when cookies and tokens already say this is a legitimate user, the system has no reason to ask another question, and the victim never knows. In interviews after the incident, many people describe the same experience. They log into their accounts as usual. Nothing feels different. No signs of intrusion. Until one day a payment card is declined. Orders appear that they never placed. Emails about account changes arrive too late. The first feeling is not fear. It is confusion. They wonder what they did wrong. Did they click something by mistake? Did they forget to log out on an old device? Did the system glitch? Only when they review transaction history, when they see actions that were not theirs, do victims realize that someone else has been living inside their account. In the digital world, an account is not just a tool. It is habit, shopping history, addresses, family information, deeply personal data we never expect strangers to see. And when all of that is taken, the loss is not just money. It is the feeling of being violated, of being watched, of losing control. What hurts many victims the most is the silence beforehand. No early warning signs. No chance to stop it. Everything happened too smoothly, too cleanly, that they never knew when they became a target. In the world of Stealer logs, everything is collected before the victim has a reason to doubt. When the holiday season arrives, when login activity increases, when people use more devices, those data files become especially valuable. And at that point, the fate of an account is no longer in the hands of its owner. After data is stolen, its journey does not end. In fact, that is only the beginning. Somewhere else, far from the victim's screen, there exists a parallel world. No lights, no signs, no clear addresses, yet everything there has a price. This is the data black market. In this world, personal information is no longer just lines of text. It becomes a commodity, categorized, priced, bought and sold like any other product. A regular shopping account may not be worth much, but if that account has stored payment cards, a history of frequent purchases, regular transactions, its value increases. If it belongs to someone who manages an online store, the price can be hundreds of times higher. Each human being, in the eyes of cybercriminals, is reduced to a number. Name, address, phone number, shopping history, login habits, all of it adds value to a data profile. And during the holiday season, the black market enters its peak. Data brokers release holiday deals, seasonal discounts, bulk purchases with reduced prices, payment card details sold in batches, authentication codes bundled and ready. Everything operates coldly, professionally, like a real marketplace. What is terrifying is not just the volume of transactions, it is the speed. During the holidays, stolen data is bought and used quickly. Shopping behavior spikes, transactions increase, and abnormal activity blends easily among hundreds of legitimate purchases. Cybercriminals do not hold on to data for long. They resell it, or use it immediately, before the victim has time to realize something is wrong. But they rarely withdraw money themselves. That is when the network of accomplices appears. On underground forums, hackers recruit people, individuals willing to make purchases using stolen accounts, withdraw cash, transfer funds, convert gift cards into money, all to hide the real trail. These people often do not know the full story. They are given small tasks, one order, one withdrawal, one commission, but those small links allow dirty money to be cleaned very quickly. In many cases, when police track down the person withdrawing the money, they find ordinary people. Not hackers, not tech experts. Just individuals drawn in by the promise of easy money, especially during a difficult end of year. At the other end of the chain, the person behind it almost never appears. The data black market runs on one principle only: no emotion, no morality, just supply and demand. For hackers, data is not connected to faces, not to stories, not to the fear of a family discovering their account drained just before the holidays. It is simply a product sold at the right time. But for victims, the consequences last long after the season ends. Calls from the bank, verification emails, sleepless nights, worrying that personal information is still being abused. A constant sense of unease every time a notification appears on the phone. In the data black market, one person can be sold many times. But in real life, the damage only needs to happen once to leave a deep scar. And that is when we realize that behind those cold transaction numbers, there are real people trying to reclaim control over their own lives, while personal data is being traded on the black market. On another front, cyber criminals are striking straight at the heart of e-commerce, the place where real money flows, where every transaction is trusted to be secure. The checkout page. For users, this moment feels familiar. Enter details. Confirm. Wait for the success message. It all happens in seconds. No one thinks that in that exact moment, another set of eyes could be watching. Hackers do not need to bring systems down. They do not disrupt services. They only need to slip through a very small gap. A vulnerability in the platform, an outdated plugin, a forgotten piece of code, and from there they plant something extremely hard to detect. MageCart. MageCart is silent. It does not slow the website down. It does not change the appearance. It simply lives in the background like a hidden camera. Every time a user enters payment information, MageCart records it, then sends it away. The user still sees a successful transaction. The business still sees orders being processed. No one suspects a thing until the damage appears. In many investigations, businesses only discover the breach weeks, sometimes months later, when customers begin to complain, when banks reach out, when fraudulent transactions spike. By then, it is already too late. The damage is not only stolen money, it is broken trust. For small businesses, a single vulnerability like this can be the end. They face complaints, refunds, security penalties, reputation damage. Some stores that survive for years never recover from a single holiday season attack. For users, the consequences do not stop at one suspicious charge. Card details are exposed. Accounts are monitored. Anxiety lingers. Every future payment, every confirmation click, now carries doubt. What worries investigators most is how quiet these attacks are. MageCart does not need volume. It only needs time, taking a little each day. But added together, the loss becomes enormous. During the holidays, when shopping traffic surges, when businesses are overwhelmed with orders, when technical teams are stretched thin, vulnerabilities are easiest to miss. Hackers know this well. They do not strike when systems are under tight supervision. They wait for the busiest moments, when the priority is selling, shipping on time, keeping customers happy, not reviewing every line of code. In interviews, business owners often describe the same sense of helplessness when the truth comes out. They did everything right, trusted the platform, trusted their partners, believed they were safe. But one overlooked detail opened the door to disaster. Attacking checkout pages is not just a technical crime. It is a crime against trust. The belief that when you enter your information, your money will be protected. The belief that the system will handle the rest. And when that trust is broken, the damage spreads far beyond the numbers on a statement. If earlier attacks required time and patience, modern cyber attacks move to a different rhythm, faster, colder, and leaving fewer traces behind. That shift comes from one key factor: artificial intelligence. AI is no longer a luxury tool. It has become a silent assistant for cyber criminals. Password cracking tools no longer guess randomly. They learn how humans behave. Login timing, keystroke rhythm, pauses between attempts. Everything is simulated to look like a real person accessing their own account. Security systems see this and hesitate, because nothing looks truly abnormal. At the same time, layers of concealment are built. Rotating proxies, multi-country VPNs, access points constantly changing, spread across different regions. Each login comes from a different place, a different country, a different network. To monitoring systems, it creates noise, a fragmented picture that is extremely difficult to connect. More alarming is the rise of attack as a service. Hackers no longer need deep technical knowledge. They just need money. Everything else is already prepared. Password cracking services, website cloning services, mass phishing email services, even fake call center support services. All of it packaged as a complete ecosystem, with user guides, technical support, even seasonal discounts. This has completely changed the profile of cyber criminals. They are no longer lone individuals sitting in front of screens all night. They are campaign managers, assigning tasks, setting targets, tracking results, and pulling out at the right moment. The mindset of the modern hacker is simple: strike fast, leave fast. They do not aim to control accounts long term. They do not build lasting presence. Each campaign exists only long enough to generate profit. When the risk of detection rises, they disappear, leaving behind empty systems and victims still trying to understand what just happened. In investigations, what worries experts most is not the sophistication of the tools. It is the speed of adaptation. When a defense is deployed, a bypass often appears just weeks later. The people on the front lines of security must work constantly, while attackers need only one small gap, one delayed response, one configuration not yet updated. And during the holiday season, when everything accelerates, that gap grows even wider. This is an uneven fight. One side must defend at all times. The other needs to succeed only once. And in the digital world, once is more than enough. When the holiday season ends, the decorations come down, the music fades, the last orders are delivered. Life seems to return to normal. But for cyber criminals, nothing truly ends. What happens during the holidays is only one piece of a much larger picture. A long-term trend is taking shape. Quiet, but undeniable. And it will not stop this year. Experts believe that at least through 2026, the pace and scale of cyber attacks will continue to grow. Not because technology is getting weaker, but because people are not changing fast enough. We live in a world of constant connection. Shopping, payments, communication, memories. Everything exists in the digital space, and every step toward convenience also creates a new point of vulnerability. In every security system, no matter how advanced the technology, there is always one shared link: the human being. Not because we lack intelligence, but because we have emotions. We trust, we rush, we get tired. We want things to be simpler, faster, less complicated. And those very human traits become the targets that are exploited. Cyber criminals understand that they do not need to break the highest wall. They only need to find the smallest door, the one people walk through every day without noticing. A click made while distracted, a login while exhausted, a quick decision driven by fear of missing out. All of it feels ordinary, and because it feels ordinary, it is dangerous. Looking back at these cases, the common thread is not technology. It is the moment when vigilance fades. The moment people believe they are safe because everything looks familiar. The moment they assume risk only happens to someone else. But in the digital world, there is no absolute safe distance. Cyber attacks are no longer just a problem for tech experts or large corporations. They touch individuals, families, even the smallest accounts. And the most unsettling question is not how advanced hackers have become. It is how accustomed we have grown to convenience. As we look ahead, the question is no longer whether attacks will continue. The question is how we prepare. With what awareness? With what caution? With what clarity of mind? Because in a world where everything is connected, cybersecurity is not only a system issue. It is a human issue. And only when people recognize their role in that picture can we hope to stay safe. Not just during the holidays, but in the years to come. When the screen goes dark, the digital world does not sleep. The code keeps running. The traps remain open. The question is not how far technology has come. It is whether people can slow down long enough to truly see. Because in our most rushed moments, when we believe one more click will finish everything, That is when the distance between safety and loss becomes the thinnest. Cybersecurity does not live inside machines. It lives inside the smallest human decisions. And sometimes, the strongest protection we have is not a system. It is a single second of slowing down.